Alright, boys and girls, today's the day we do the spike upper doors on the 2020 General XP. We're up in the UP right now, so I want to get these things installed. I'm working outside, it's not warm, so I'm going to get to work on this thing. So here's the upper. Seems like it's pretty well built. The fabric seems pretty stout. Here's kind of all of our parts and tools and instructions and all that fun stuff. So I'm gonna get started here, and we'll catch up along the way as we go. So the first thing we got to do is these 30 millimeter torx. Pretty good handful of them. We got to pop these covers off. The instructions aren't too bad. There's a couple things that I noticed. I did the other side already, but a couple things that I noticed that I'll run through that kind of didn't make a lot of sense to me, but we'll get to that. Okay, so the 30 millimeter torques are all out. Now we got a pretty good handful of 25 millimeter. This is with those little panels off. See the hinges? So we're gonna pop those babies off. Door handle, the shroud for the door handle, I should say, I guess. Slides out of the way. Put that up here for now. All the 25s should be out. It kind of slides up in this lip here. I know it's kind of hard to tell, but. And then this inner panel will come off. Okay, we got the inner door panel off. There it is. Now we gotta pop this little clip right here off, which just entails flipping this backwards a little bit, like so. And then it's just got this little retaining clip right here. So we'll slide that off, slide this out, and then you take out these two torx bits for the outside door handle, and then we'll take off the outside shell. So outer door handle just pops off. Now we got to go through with these 30 millimeters and take off the outside of the door, and then we can get into mounting the brackets for the actual uppers. Okay, so this is what it looks like when the outer panel is off. We got the inner panel, we got the outer panel, and the outer door handle is about the only other thing you really got to remove. So I'll get the brackets mocked up, and like I said, there's a few things in the directions that I was sort of unclear on. Took a little bit of time to mess with it, so I'll go over those and make sure that everybody understands and sees what I was seeing. Okay, so the next thing I do is take this push pin here out for this triangle piece, which is going to be basically our filler panel. So we're going to do that real quick, and then the other thing that they talk about is marking the outside of the door of this hinge. So you can see what I did. Doesn't have to be like super fantastic, but I traced the whole outside of it so it goes back in the same position, because you're going to take those bolts out for these brackets. So I'll show you that once I get to this next part. Corner piece is on. Like I said, you just go through this push pin, and there's a little bit of 3M tape up here, so I put the push pin in, then peeled the corner back. It's pretty flimsy. And then this just goes in behind the dash here. If you have a lock and ride window, I just flipped it out of the way so I could get in there, and then I'll flip it back. And now we'll pop the hinge off and go on to the next steps. Okay, so the little triangle's in there, we can see that. I got my hinge marked, just the upper one, 13 millimeter bolts. I pulled those out, and this is kind of where I was in a spot where I wasn't sure what was going on, because in the instructions it doesn't say inside or outside of this, of the actual inner structure. So I finally got the back figured out by just looking at the instructions. Like I said, some of it doesn't really tell you inside or outside. So I'm trying to figure, okay, this is the outside of this. So here's the other bracket, why, you know, there's a big gap here. So what the heck? Well, what it is the back one goes on the outside and the front one goes on the inside. And it's just because of how the doors are shaped. That one's on the outside in the back, and then the front one goes on the inside. And you use the same hardware or whatever. So you use your factory hardware and the two bottom bolts, or two bottom holes, and then you're going to use their supplied hardware, Spike supplied hardware, on the top one. So we'll get that all going, and we'll sit the door on there and start getting aligned, and go on to the next step. And the next step is to slide the upper on and start adjusting it all, which is not very much fun. So the brackets are just hand tight, finger tight. Obviously the door parts are not on. Line up your hinge again once you got the door shut. And like I said, then it's just a matter of, you know, these are slotted. You can't move this one really up and down at all. This one's slotted up and down. You can move it left or right a little too. Just get it lined up the best it can. Work on this spot here a little bit. I feel like maybe once they're warm, obviously it's like 38 degrees right now, and it just doesn't want to do what I want it to do at the exact moment in time. But it does seal up pretty good, so I'm gonna do a little more adjusting and tighten everything up, and then kind of show you what I got. Inner door panels back on, outer door panels back on. This new handle goes right here. There's these two little spacers. So the spacers are going to go in behind it, and then this bolt is going to go through it. So I'm going to throw that on. I'll throw the upper door back on.